Elizabeth Troutman Mitchell from Daily Signal once again has got it. This is an exclusive and a terrific article. Walk me through, because you've had a chance to see this first. This thing is pretty well reported. You've talked to a lot of people. The framework itself, and particularly one of the issues people are most concerned about is child safety. I think this leaves a lot to be desired in how you actually do this. But you've actually talked to advocates in the state. The preemption is what we've seen, and I want everybody, if Elizabeth and Mo and Grace can push out the Axios articles and things that came out earlier today with the four-page overview from the White House of the framework. Do you think in your reporting and talking to people, Elizabeth, that this is going to satisfy either child safety advocates or the people like Ron DeSantis and others around him at these various states that are all over this thing right now, ma'am?
It's a great question. Thanks for having me back. So what this is a draft of White House recommendations, what they want Congress to pass. And so there's some child safety provisions in here, measures to protect kids online. And I think the goal here is the child safety advocates are supposed to see this and agree to get on board. People like Marsha Blackburn, who kind of have child first mentality about AI. They're hoping those people will get on board with preemption in exchange for those child safety provisions. And I've been talking to child safety advocates about, will this be enough for them to agree to preemption, which means that state laws that limit AI will be taken off the books, because Michael Krasios, David Sachs have said repeatedly they do not want a 50-state patchwork of AI laws. They want one national framework. And so will this be enough? I'm not sure. It looks like it might not be, because a lot of these advocates were saying that it puts the duty of care on the parents rather than on the tech companies. And in a lot of cases, we know parents really are not equipped to take on big tech and these powerful AI companies. They either don't know how, they don't have the time, or the big tech companies are just too powerful. And so in a lot of cases, this just may not be enough for the child safety advocates. They're looking for a lot stronger protections. And they're telling me the strongest protections, what they're looking for exactly, is in Senator Marsha Blackburn's framework for AI.
I want to get some this is going to be this is going to be a tough fight, and people are going to be at the ramparts of this. So I want to make sure that we start this journey, and we make sure people understand nomenclature. Tell me, when you say preemptive, I want, as the whole kind of direction or architecture of this, what does preemptive mean, and why is it such a big issue, a big topic, when we talk about states versus what the oligarchs want to do with the federal government?
The reason this is such a big thing is that the White House is looking for one framework on AI that will determine AI law for the entire country rather than states having their own AI laws. For instance, there's a law in the Florida House that passed the Florida Senate, didn't pass the Florida House, potentially because of involvement from the White House. But to stick to that bill, it would include parental controls on AI, bans on chatbots, bringing up inappropriate topics to children, those kinds of things. And so a lot of states have these different types of laws. Some states like California have what the White House considers to be woke AI laws, where AI discriminates against conservatives or certain viewpoints. And so the White House wants to preempt some of these state laws, get rid of these state laws in exchange for this national framework. And so this national framework, we've been waiting for it for a long time. We finally got a draft today. I was able to review the child safety provisions, particularly in advance. And so what we're seeing in this draft is it says that generally applicable state laws on protecting kids from AI will not be preempted. But what child safety advocates are worried about is that this is too general and could give the White House license to preempt some state AI laws, which actually do not create an undue burden, but might just put too much of the companies might not want to deal with this type of burden.
Okay, there's another term I want to make sure people understand, because you went right to it, as a great reporter always does. Duty of care. Explain what duty of care is and why that is so centrally important to this entire argument, ma'am.
So there is going to be somebody who the burden to protect kids is on. It could be on the parents, or it could be on the tech companies, or it could be a little bit on both. Who is responsible primarily for protecting kids? And so this AI framework uses phrases like it's going to empower parents with parental controls, screen time limits, age app store parental requirements to sign off on a kid getting an app, that kind of thing. But the issue that child safety advocates are seeing is that studies have shown that putting the burden on parents really does not work, because one, parents don't know how to do this. Some parents aren't monitoring their kids' online activity. It's just most parents really aren't going to be that involved on what their kids are doing online. And thirdly, most importantly, we've seen a study recently actually from Meta saying that these things don't work, and another study related to TikTok saying that most parents do not use these parental controls, and the parents who do use the controls feel that the controls that are available do not address their main concerns about inappropriate content. And so while it's great to see parents being empowered, as they're saying, through this framework, the fact that companies are not responsible for protecting the kids in the way that the parents are given the responsibility is where people are concerned.
So this is the opening salvo. We're going to break it down even more tomorrow. I'm going to have Winton Hall. Joe Allen's going to join us. We're going to break it all down because there's many, many other, the four C's, you know, you got the creative, you got the conservatives, you got the blocking of all that. Plus you've got just the transparency and where this thing's going and how it's being funded. I might add it was issued on the day after. As we keep saying, one of the big pushes here, and the reason you have to have preemption or they want amnesty, they don't want any controls on the oligarchs, is they keep saying, well, if we don't do this, the Chinese Communist Party is going to take control of artificial intelligence, and then we're doomed. As I note, that if we lock down the Chinese Communist Party from chips and training and know-how and our universities and all the ecosystem that goes around it, the Chinese Communist Party would not even be close to being competitive. And why do I say that? Within yesterday, at one of the large companies was caught with former Chinese nationals, some of them U.S. citizens, that were illegally shipping the NVIDIA chips to the China. I think it was $2.2 billion of these advanced chips to guess where? The Chinese Communist Party. So they can be competitive. They need those chips, and we should just lock it down. I don't care if it hurts NVIDIA's earnings. I don't care if it's blocking a market for them. We should choke the Chinese Communist Party down. Now, back to just the children's part of it. Marsha Blackburn has been, and she's been working like crazy. You know her and her staff very well. She put out some ideas the other day. Were her ideas incorporated in this? Or are they going to get to that later, or did they dismiss them, ma'am?
Well, Marsha Blackburn wants to be the person who is leading the fight to codify this framework, but there are some pretty significant differences between her framework and the framework we have from the White House, particularly on that back to that issue of preemption. Whereas the White House framework says it will not preempt generally applicable laws, the Blackburn framework lays out multiple points going into detail, making sure that no AI law in the states that has anything to do with child safety is going to be preempted by this framework. And so there are some pretty significant differences here. It will definitely be interesting to see the relationship between Senator Blackburn and the White House AI policy shop in coming weeks because of those significant differences. But if Marsha Blackburn, I think what she's looking for is to lead the charge there. She released her framework just one day before the White House did. And there are some similarities, but Marsha Blackburn's framework is considerably more specific because it's more like model legislation.
That's Troutman Mitchell. You're one of the best reporters on this. Tell me, this is the biggest fight that's going on because it ties in geopolitics, the economics, the future of the country. And I keep saying the United States right now is a highly leveraged bet on artificial intelligence. Ma'am, how do you see this? Make her smart. What should we be looking for over this weekend, next week? How do you see this thing developing?
we are definitely going to see a tough battle in Congress so far. So they're going to need Democrat support in order to pass this. And that's not out of the question because there are a lot of bipartisan areas of concern about AI. For instance, lots of child safety bills are introduced by Republicans and Democrats together. So this is not impossible to get bipartisan support on, but there are going to be some key issues. Some Democrats have already released statements saying that this is not going to be enough for them to agree to preemption. They, of course, are saying they don't want to help the big tech companies get richer. And so I haven't seen a lot of Democrats in Congress so far saying they're going to vote for this. And then, of course, Republicans, on the other hand, are also going to be a problem. There's a lot of Republicans who are going to say that the child safety provisions, the provisions on data centers, various other things that affect Americans are just not going to be enough for them to support preemption because preemption is a
Well,
very big deal in order to get all these state AI laws off the book.
huge.
That's a huge deal. And so it's going to be very difficult to
You,
get both
you,
parties involved in this.
you have more of the populist nationalist anti big tech. You got Schmidt and Hawley from Missouri. You got Blackburn from Tennessee. She's the kind of the leader we all look to, and this is going to be a big fight, folks. Daily Signal. Where do they go to keep up with your reporting on this topic, and where do they go for social media, Elizabeth?
You can read my work at dailysignal.com or follow me on X at the Eliz Mitchell.
Thank you so much, man. Fantastic. Great report. We'll push it out. We'll be a force multiplier. Thank you.